Hello. The Minnesota Paid Leave Act goes into effect on January 1st, 2026. This video will give you an overview of what the law includes and how to navigate through it. Some of the questions we will address are: what is Minnesota Paid Family Leave, MNPFML? What is MNPFML used for? How much will MNPFML pay me? Who will pay for MNPFML? How do I apply for a leave? What are my responsibilities? What additional resources can you provide? And we'll also review some questions and answers. First, what is Minnesota paid leave? Minnesota legislators passed the law that will become effective on January 1st, 2026. It offers job protections and also pay while an employee is out on leave for a medical or family leave need. Up to 12 weeks will be paid, or a maximum of 20 weeks for anyone needing a medical and family leave in 1 year. MNPFML can be used for two different purposes. You can take it for a medical leave to take care of yourself for a serious health condition, be it physical, mental, or you can take it for a family leave, so as to take care of a family member with a serious health condition, or a family member who is in the military and going off or returning from active duty, or to take care of your own safety, such as instances of domestic violence. The natural next question you may have is, how much will MNPFML pay me? Since SMBSC already has a short-term disability policy, both MNPFML and STD will run concurrently, which means employees will get the higher of the two benefits, but not both. The Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development has come up with a three-tiered benefit scheme designed to pay participants between 90 and 55% of their wages. For 2026, the average weekly wage in Minnesota has been determined to be $1,423. The three-tiered benefit formula starts with 50% of the state's average weekly wage, which is $711.50. Remember that number. Eligible participants will receive 90% of their first $711.50 for their weekly salary under Tier 1. Next, they will receive 66% of the second $711.50 under Tier 2. And finally, they will receive 55% of the remaining $711.50 of their salary. To calculate your benefits, you must first determine what is your own average weekly wage. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have three examples of three employees. Employee A makes $60,000 a year and has an average weekly wage of $1,153.85. Under Tier 1, the first $711.50 are paid at 90%, which comes out to $640.35. Under Tier 2, when you deduct that first $711.50 from the employee's weekly wage, what remains is $442.35. Therefore, 66% of $442.35 is $291.94. So, $640.35 plus $291.94 equals $932.29. That is the PFML benefit. Next, we calculate the short-term disability, which is 70% of the employee's average weekly wage. This comes out to $807.69. Since this is a lower number, employee A will receive a PFML benefit of $932.29. Let's look at
Example B. They make $95,000 a year and has an average weekly wage of $1,826.92. Under Tier 1, the first $711.50 is paid at 90%, which is again $640.35. Under Tier 2, after you deduct the first $711.50 from the employee's weekly wage, what remains is $1,107.42. Since this is greater than $711.50, we calculate 66% of $711.50, which is $469.59. Under Tier 3, after having removed $711.50 twice from the average weekly wage, what remains is $403.92. 55% of that number is $222.15. To add it all up, and employee B could get $1,332.09 of PFML pay. Finally, we calculate the short-term disability, which is 70% of the average weekly wage of $1,826.92. We will get $1,278.85. Since this is a lower number, employee B will receive the PFML amount of $1,332.09. Finally, let's take a look at example C. They make $125,000 a year with an average weekly wage of $2,403.85. Under Tier 1, the first $711.50 is paid at 90%, which is again $640.35. Under Tier 2, when you deduct $711.50 from the employee's average weekly wage, what remains is $1,692.35. Since this is greater than $711.50, they will get 66% of $711.50, which is $469.59. Under Tier 3, after having removed $711.50 from the average weekly wage twice, what remains is $980.85. 55% of that is $539.46. Add it all up, and employee C will get $1,649.40. However, since this number is greater than the Minnesota average weekly wage, the most that the employee can get is $1,423, which is the maximum benefit under state law. Now we calculate the short-term disability. 70% of $2,403.85 is $1,682.69, which is higher than the PFML payment. So the difference between the two is $259.69. This will now be added to the PFML payment. Employee C will receive $1,423 of PFML plus $259.69 for short-term disability, for a total of $1,682.69. If you would like to calculate your own estimate of benefits, you can visit pl.mn.gov at any time. As a reminder, MNPFML is an insurance policy that is required by law. Employers and employees share the cost of the insurance. Rates are based on the employee's earnings. There is a new tax that you will see on your paychecks starting in January 2026. SMBSC has committed to pay 60% of the full premium. Employees will see a deduction on their paychecks equal to 0.44% of their earnings. When looking at the examples on our previous page, that employee earning $60,000 will see $10.15 as a tax biweekly. One earning $95,000 annually will see $1,608 biweekly, and the one earning $125,000 will see deduction of $21.15. The application process is quite simple. If you find yourself in need of a leave of absence, please let your manager know and HR know as well. You can come into the HR office and request information. You'll also be required to call this phone number, 800-247-6875, or visit the Sun Life website to make an official application for Minnesota paid family leave. You will still be required to complete FMLA information for your job protection. Please be aware that they might send you information regarding your W-2 so that you can file your taxes for the next year. There are some other things you need to be aware of. SMBSC will continue to fund their portion of your healthcare premiums. However, you will be responsible for any portion of healthcare and other group insurance deductions that you would normally see coming out of your paycheck. In order to pay for your premiums, you can send us a personal check. You can have the premiums deducted from your paycheck upon your return to work, or we can supplement your pay with ESST or vacation time to pay for your premiums. Failure to pay for your portion of the premiums will result in a retroactive cancellation of your coverage. At any time, day or night, you may log on to www.paidleave.mn.gov to review a number of beneficial videos, to calculate your potential premiums, or to calculate your potential benefit payments. Here are some questions that we presume you may have. Can I have short-term disability or salary continuation to top off my Minnesota PFML benefits? As discussed earlier, those two plans will run concurrently, which means that they will run at the same time, and you will only get the higher of the two plans. Can I use ESST or vacation time to supplement my pay? Yes, under certain situations, we can first start with ESST that's available, and you can use vacation time to continue so that we can continue to take premiums out of your paychecks. Can I still contribute to my 401k or FSA? Unfortunately, no. Since you will not be receiving pay directly from SMBSC, we cannot deduct premiums for your FSA contributions or for your 401k contributions. Can I still contribute to my HSA? Yes, you can, but you will be making payments directly to Health Equity via a personal check and manage that at the end of the year with your tax consultant or with whatever software you're using to manage your taxes. Again, how do I pay for my benefits such as medical, dental, vision, supplemental life, and other voluntary benefits? You can send us a personal check. You can wait and have all premiums deducted from your paycheck upon your return to work, or you can use ESST and vacation time to pay for your premiums. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that we have answered all your questions. If not, please feel free to stop by the HR office or contact me, Ricardo Casas, via email, or you can call me at 320-329-4160. Thank you for your time.